Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to call to order the Narragansett Town Council regular meeting for September 6th, 2022. It's 7:33 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes.
Okay, we'll get started with the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the August 1st, 2022 regular meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 5-0. Next, we have a motion to approve the August 15th, 2022 work session minutes.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 5-0. We're going to go to our announcements and presentations, and I will hand it over to the town manager, Jim Tierney, for the town manager's report.
Good evening, members of the council and members of the public, both here and at home. I have a few updates that inquiries have been made. COVID, we do have test kits available here at Town Hall for someone that still needs them. Summer's not officially over yet. We have the Calamari Festival on the 10th in town and Endless Summer event on the 16th and 17th of September in the pier. There's been some discussions about IT security among municipal leaders going on for a couple of years now. Earlier this month, one of our staff members participated in a cyber training that was fully funded by the Department of Homeland Security and the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center. Our staff member was a speaker and a presenter. His presentation was selected among many others on the topic of email security, which we take very seriously here in the town. There was also an excellent opportunity this is an opportunity that will benefit both the town and the security of our IT system for years to come. On another note, I'm very happy to announce that there'll be an advertisement posted on Friday in the paper for invitations to bid for the construction of the new library. It'll be published on Friday, and then the deadline for submission of the responses will be Tuesday, October 4th. Later on, Lori Kelly from the Board of Trustees will be making some additional information available regarding the library project. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. Before we move on, we do want to take a moment of silence for a few members of the community who recently passed away. There are actually 3 people that I'd like to mention tonight. Jack Downey, the longtime harbor master in town, as well as Ed Sylvia, who a lot of people know. He was the water superintendent as well as a well-known plumber in town for a long time. And then finally, William Shields Sr., who was the longtime owner of Twin Willows. He passed away on August 14th at the age of 84. So if we could, we'll just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, so next this evening, actually, we are not going to be doing the community choice aggregation program tonight. It is on the agenda, but that's going to be rescheduled 2 weeks, I believe, for that one. But we do have a proclamation this evening for the Narragansett lifeguards. So I'm going to go ahead and read that, and then we'll be presenting that. A proclamation honoring the 2022 Narragansett Town Beach lifeguards. Whereas the 2022 Narragansett Town Beach lifeguards display the utmost professionalism and work tirelessly to provide public safety and assist the patrons at the beach. And whereas the 2022 Narragansett Town Beach lifeguards have had successful ocean assists, rescues, and first aid responses in 2022. And whereas the Narragansett lifeguards remind us of the joys and challenges associated with the beaches, and whereas the Narragansett lifeguards participated in competitive lifeguard competitions, and whereas the 2022 Narragansett Town Beach lifeguards won their 32nd consecutive Rhode Island State Tournament Championship Lifeguard Tournament. Now therefore, All our citizens join with us in extending the 2022 Narragansett Town Beach Lifeguards our deep appreciation and our best wishes for continued success in all of their future endeavors. Thank you. All right, we're going to take a quick recess, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you. Thanks again. I know it's been a great season at the beach. We just wanted to acknowledge your efforts year after year. So thanks again.
I just want to add to that, you know, I'm at the beach all the time, and I just cannot say enough about the waterfront director and people that are working on the beach and the staff in total. I just want to thank you very much for the residents and keeping everybody safe and doing the great job that you do each and every year. So thank you very much.
Okay. We are going to move on to our open forum public comment portion of the meeting. So if there are any, if any residents would like to speak on any items not on the agenda tonight, so if it's on the agenda, you can hold off. You'll have a chance to speak during the meeting. But for anything not on the agenda, now's your chance. We allow for 3 minutes of public comment. So go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll call on you. I will start with Ms. Kelly.
Good evening. So we had wonderful news on Thursday of last week. We got a secret email that said that we had an agreement with OLIS. The town of Narragansett has now agreed with OLIS. And on Friday, the director of the library, Patty Arkwright, and I also signed the document as chair of the library board to the financing for the new library. OLIS has given us $3,143,522. So really fantastic news. And so many people have worked on this for so many years. The significance of this is the town, the way this program works, and I feel like I've been saying this for 20 years now, but is the town issued $5.8 million for this project. Now OLIS will be paying down $3.14 million of that 5.8. And that is significant because we have a 20-year stream of bond payments. The state then gives us a 20-year stream of, 53% of that 5.8, which includes not only the principal and the interest, but our origination fees and legal fees for that percentage of the town's bond. So again, because we can't say this enough, people stood up here for years and said, not a penny more than 5.8. Well, right now it looks like 2.65478 is the immediate cost to the town by paying down that bond. So that's happy news. At the next town council meeting, I'll go into more PowerPoints and graphs and explain what's going on. But now the question comes, what's next? And we have prepared the bid documents by HBM, which is our architectural firm, and they have been approved by OLIS. So the town has gone out and advertised, and this, there's like a RFP, which is a steady thing, and then we'll look at all the bids within a month. and then pick someone to go forward with our construction project. So we're really on the cusp here. Things should start speeding up after this long, slow project. And we expect that the project, once we break ground, our owner's rep, Ray Keogh, predicts that it will only take about a year to outfit it. So again, thanks to everyone on the library side that's been dealing with this since 2008. And we saw this vision in 2011 when we hired our library consultant to make this happen. And thanks so much to this current council who embraced our vision, got elected to support the library, and then followed through, because without your guidance, we wouldn't be where we are today. So if anyone has any questions, otherwise, that's my brief remarks for tonight. Everyone be happy.
Great, thank you, Lori. Okay, anybody else? We'll go with Karen. Hi, please state your full name and address.
Karen Chavchello at 63 Wanda Street. I repeat all the credit that Lori gave all the people that have helped us get to this point. It's very sad that it took this town such a long time to move forward with this project, because it ended up costing the town a lot more money than it would have if the leaders in this town had moved forward in a positive direction right from the beginning. And I'd like to particularly thank Susan for her leadership in Love Your Library and all the work that everybody did that was positive. Susan's been with it for a while. And very much on my mind is the upcoming election. And I would tell the public, be really careful who you vote for. Your vote is really important. If necessary, review some of the films that are on YouTube to see what people said and how some people flip-flopped and how some people were very critical of the library board. This is totally a positive experience. A lot of people in this town supported the library and supported democracy. And it should be a democracy that we are all supporting for our town of Narragansett. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Alba? I'll call on each one individually. Thank you. All right, the next person after Al can raise their hand and I'll call you up. All right, please state your full name and address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Recently, I was able to review the RIDEM parking lot leases for Galilee, which are outside the 5-acre parcel where the Lighthouse Inn is located. One of the parking lots is operated by the state, and the other is being operated by a seafood processing plant company, Yo Plant Incorporated. These two lots are zoned GFI. Lots designated GFI Galilee fishing are to be used exclusively for the fishing trades. Ironically, the fishermen have not even been assigned designated parking spots in any of the parking lot locations, which would enable them to park close to their boats. Why have the parking lots not been designated to the fishermen? Why is the state or the town not allowed to operate the parking lot that is being operated by a seafood processing company, Yo Plant Incorporated? Why the RIDA may contend the parking lots can be used on the lots zone GFI and assert the parking lots are legal non-conforming, then the state or town should be able to operate the lot being operated by Yo Plant Incorporated. While the seafood processing plant may meet the needs of Galilee, why is a street-level parking lot included as part of the deal? In addition, why is the RIDM continuing to lease out 2 of the 3 parcels of the 5-acre parcel after Procaccianti Developers breached the terms of its prior lease by intentionally abandoning its hotel, and the lease has already expired? And not only that, it's Zone GB, Galilee Business, which prevents them from operating parking lots without a special use permit, which they do not have. The RIDM has stated that Procaccianti continue operating the parking lots based on its 1990 lease that has been breached and expired. Since the state of Rhode Island and the town of Narragansett would benefit from parking proceeds, by the RIDM awarding street-level parking to private contractors, the RIDM is violating its fiduciary responsibility to use the land in its best interest for the state, the town, and the commercial fishermen. This is an additional argument to show the RIDM is not working in its fiduciary capacity to manage the leased property in the best interest of the state, the town, or the commercial fishermen, as was one of the objectives stated in the RFP. It clearly states that may the proposals that be submitted be in the best interest of the state, the town, and the commercial fishermen. They are violating their own RFP based on their mismanagement of the leased land. If you and I created an environmental hazard on leased land, would we be able to continue using the land for profit at the loss of the state, town, and commercial fishermen? What motions will you, as our town council, be presenting to direct our town manager and our town solicitor and our enforcement officers, such as our zoning officer and our building inspector, to stop the RIDM from continuing to disregard our town's ordinances and its failure to act in its fiduciary responsibilities to protect not only the interests of the state, but also to protect the interests of the town and our environment? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's next? Yep, come on up. Hi, please state your full name and address.
Sherry Carberry, 6 Teal Pond Road. While there is a preemption statute that allows state agencies to overrule the local government statutes, there's a precedent such as Sullivan versus the towns of Coventry and Middletown. The aforementioned case shows the state cannot overturn the city or town's ordinances if such actions are not in the best interest of the city or town. Some have argued under the Brownfield ruling that the state has supremacy over the city and towns, but the courts have ruled there are no absolutes, and the court will rule in favor of the city and towns if the city or town's rule will serve the needs of the greater number of citizens. Therefore, I hope the Narragansett Town Council directs the town solicitor to explore all legal options, such as possibly issuing a cease and desist order to stop Procachanti developers from retaining its breached lease for a street-level parking lot on leased land, as the parking lot is not in the best interest in the state, the town, or the commercial fishermen. In Sullivan versus Town of Coventry and Town of Middletown, the Rhode Island DEM was against the Town of Coventry and Middletown, yet the Rhode Island DEM was defeated. If the Rhode Island DEM says, "Why did you not act before?" inform them you recently became aware of the case precedents where the Rhode Island DEM has been overruled by court actions directed by a city or town. In addition, you became aware of additional case precedents where a state agency cannot act recklessly at the expense of citizens of a city or town. No state agency should allow a private developer to intentionally abandon its building, thereby creating an environmental hazard. The Rhode Island DEM has caused great harm to Galilee and additional harm to our environment. I feel the town of Narragansett needs to make a list of every instance where the Rhode Island DEM has failed its fiduciary responsibilities and ask the state to release the Rhode Island DEM form controlling the leased land in Galilee. The Narragansett Town Council has to reach out and draft a formal letter to our governor and to all the state representatives and senators to tell them they need to do everything in their powers to represent the will of the people of the state of Rhode Island, the town of Narragansett, and the commercial fishermen. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, come on up. Please state your full name and address.
Cheryl Gray Swenson, 70 Inez Street, Narragansett. On tonight's agenda, President Pugh and Councilwoman Kopech are directing our town manager to foreclose on vacant properties with excessively delinquent taxes. If the town council can direct our town manager to foreclose on properties owned by ordinary citizens who do not have $10 billion in investable real estate like Procachanti and Paolino, then each of our town council members should direct our town solicitor to explore all legal avenues to stop Procachanti developers from continuing to operate a parking lot on leased land that is in violation to our town zoning ordinances. Through precedent, it can be noted a parking lot lease to a private developer is not in the best interest of the state, the citizens of the town, and the commercial fishermen, as the private developer is profiting at the loss of the state and town of Narragansett. It should also be argued street-level parking lots are an underutilization of land that fails to support Galilee and all those who visit, work, and live in the area. The land can be much better utilized by many of the ideas the town provided in its mixed-use development proposal and that supports the Galilee Comprehensive Plan. Therefore, the state supremacy law is not binding that would allow a state agency to violate the town zoning and our town's comprehensive plan. In the Rhode Island General Law 45/24/34, Section B, it notes the city or town is required to enforce zoning that complies with its comprehensive plan. In addition, if it is within our town's legal authority, the town council needs to direct our town manager to have our building inspector inspect the Lighthouse Inn and condemn the property, and summon the RIDEM, Procashanti, and its representatives into court for Procashanti developers intentionally abandoned its hotel and created an environmental hazard. If it is justified for our town council to direct our town manager to go after ordinary citizens who may have missed tax payments due to not having the funds for making tax payments, then why are we not holding a state agency and a $10 billion developer accountable? Our state DEM has allowed a developer to intentionally abandon its hotel, and though its lack of oversight, an environmental hazard has been created by allowing PRIX to intentionally abandon its hotel.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yep, coming up. Please state your full name and address.
Elizabeth Del Ghizo, 102 Riverdale Drive. If we fail to act, we act to fail. David did beat Goliath, but David had to fight back. Let's not have the legacy of this town council be forever remembered for failing to act, and in its inactions has resulted us in creating a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to slip away from us. We do not want two street-level parking lots operated by Procashanti developers be a forever memory of our town council's failure to act by exhausting all possible legal options to create a viable development that will revitalize Galilee. Many of this town council were critical of our previous town solicitor for failing to act with regards to the orchestrated deal with a Connecticut developer to operate a marketplace where the new library is being built, and the behind-the-scenes deal to sell the liquor store in an area near the library. Let us not have our residents now be forever critical of this town council and our new town solicitor for failing to take all legal action within its powers to fight the Rhode Island DEM and Procashanti developers, so we can utilize the land in Galilee to its utmost potential. In addition, our town council needs to send a letter to the Rhode Island Attorney General's office, our governor, senators, representatives, and tell them the Rhode Island DEM has failed its fiduciary responsibilities in leasing out parking lots to private businesses and its failure to enforce the terms of its lease to PRIX, and through the mismanagement has allowed PRIX to create an environmental hazard that has hurt our state, town, and commercial fishermen. Street-level parking lots leased out to outside businesses that are being used as stopping grounds to people over to Block Island is only going to hurt our state, town, and the commercial fishermen, and all those who visit, work, and live here in Galilee. And here are some photos of what that hotel looks like. It's such a hazardous waste. Why is this happening? And now I'd like to speak upon myself as Elizabeth. You know, I've done some research, so on and so forth. There's been a lot of people involved doing this, and it started out with people going after Procashanti. Well, now they're starting to think they're going after RIDEM. Well, where has the town of Narragansett been? This is where it should have started. The town of Narragansett should have been on the ball and upheld its responsibilities. That I have not seen happen. And this would not have expanded to where it is if the town had done their job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we can take one more public comment before our public hearings. Anybody else? Mr. Wojciechowski? Please state your full name and address.
Sam Wojciechowski, 46 Fifth Avenue, Narragansett. I heard you say you wanted to make Narragansett affordable for families. And I have a 3-bedroom ranch. A few years ago, it was appraised at $450,000. And as soon as the 3-student ordinance was passed, I had one of the agents come back to me and says, it's $625. You're talking within 6 months, $625. Then my wife, a broker for 50 years, she went out there looking around, and somebody come up with $641. What I'm saying is you listened to some great speakers who had no knowledge of real estate, and you passed this 3-student ordinance. And this caused the housing stock to go way beyond what any family could afford. Just the opposite of what you said you wanted to do. I think you need to go back and recognize this mistake and delete that 3-student ordinance and focus on noise enforcement, drunken disorderly enforcement, DUI enforcement. Get the fines where they need to be, cost recovery if necessary. So now if the fines or the cost is high enough, for sure you'll get some noise down, not through a 3-student ordinance, but you'll be attacking the problem of noise and disorderly conduct and DUI. That's the problem, not the 3 students. You can have just as much of a problem with 3 students as 8 students when they get drunk and disorderly. That was a mistake, and you just must realize that. You know, we all make mistakes. I can call upon you to fix the mistake. Recognize it. And if we're going to have a list, let's have a list of those who violate the noise laws and drunken disorderly laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to get to our scheduling of public hearings. If anyone else has anything they'd like to say in open forum, you'll have a chance after we get through this section. We'll go back to the open forum period. All right, so we actually have 5 schedulings and reschedulings. So we have no public hearings tonight, but we need to get some scheduled. So let's get this started. Do we have a motion to reschedule a public hearing, acting as the Urban Renewal Board of Review on a request from Narragansett Casino LLC, doing business as Narragansett Casino, to amend the last approved site use plan at 11 Pier Marketplace?
Move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so the suggested date on this would be October 3rd. Does that work for everyone? Okay, and this just got held up a little bit at planning. It was continued to a second meeting, so that's why we're rescheduling. Why don't we go ahead and go to the public? Looks like we have someone who's interested in speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Patrick Doherty, and I'm counsel for Beachcomber Properties, LLC. My office is at 887 Boston Neck Road in the town of Narragansett. I have a point of procedure I'd like to raise with respect to this application. You do not have a valid completed application before you sufficient upon which to schedule a hearing. The subject property that you're attempting to change the urban renewal plan zoning on is owned by Beachcomber Properties, LLC. The application that is before you is by a person who is claiming to own the building, but not the land, and we can test that, and it's in the courts as well at the present time. There are 2 Superior Court lawsuits. There's 1 district court lawsuit. There's an arbitration, and there's a Supreme Court appeal right now. But I think you don't even have to get into or vet those issues about the litigation. All you have to do is look at 60 years of Rhode Island Supreme Court case law pertaining to zoning. And the primary necessity in order to vest the application with standing and jurisdiction is the signature of the owner of the land. This is a property that was before on leased land, originally started by Gilbane Properties and one of their related corporations. If you recall, the 2012 application that was before you had a letter of assent and a support of the application from the owner of the property, which was Gilbane. Beachcomber Properties purchased the subject property, the Pure Marketplace, including the lot upon which this building is located back in 2021. And they are not in favor of this. They are not signing on to this. They have not been requested to sign an application. And even if there were some form of tenancy that was in existence with respect to Narragansett casinos, which we dispute there is not, the lease was terminated with the prior lessee that was Beach Street Realty LLC. The lease would still require the signature of the landlord. And all you need to do is look in your packet. In 2012 and 2011, there's correspondence in the record from Gilbane Properties that was required by the town council, and by the zoning official and the Office of Community Development and Planning in order to move forward. I brought this to the attention back in June. I had a conversation with the town clerk. I've had emails exchanged with the town manager. I've spoken with the zoning official. And for the life of me, I have no idea how we have gotten to this place without the assent of the owner. You're violating my client's property rights and rights under zoning law by going forward and seeking to change the zoning on a piece of property that is owned by Beachcomber Property LLC. It's wrong, it's unlawful, and you don't have the jurisdiction or the right to continue on to attempt to change the zoning. You do have jurisdiction as the town council, without question, to change zoning in the town of Narragansett. There's no issue with that. But you can't do it on a request of a person purporting to have an interest in land that does not have an interest in the land. That's unequivocal. I was before the planning board last month, and the reason there is no hearing scheduled for this evening was because the planning board was taking up other issues. They presented before the planning board a quitclaim improvements only, purporting to hold that out as a deed. That's not a deed. They don't own the property. It's unfortunate. Narragansett Casinos made a really stupid business decision going forward with the transaction that wasn't in compliance with the lease. They never got assent of the landlord for an assignment of lease. They don't have a leasehold interest in this property. They never have. It's the subject of litigation in the courts, but we object to anything going forward with respect to this on behalf of Beachcomber Properties LLC as the record title owner of the property that is subject to this. What you have before you is an idiosyncrasy of the town tax assessor's records where they identified this building as a separate plat lot number. But it's not a plat, and it's not a lot. It's a building, and the ownership of that is in dispute. And in fact, the lease provides that upon termination of the tenancy, whether by cause or by cessation of the lease, all improvements revert to the ownership of the landlord. The landlord of the...
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. So I am familiar with this application. I know you made a similar argument in the planning board meeting. And our solicitor who handles planning and zoning, Steve Marcella, was fine with this proceeding and going forward.
Well, I'll tell you, he's dead wrong. And
Okay.
as a matter of law, the
thank
town
you.
will probably get sued, and I'm giving you the opportunity to not commit this kind of a catastrophic error. There's 60 years of case law. Have your
Okay, thank
solicitor
you.
look in.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Is there anyone who has any questions for Mr. Doherty while he's up here? No? Yeah.
James. Urban renewal, the special area, is basically controlled by this council, correct?
For the most part.
I mean, we have a lot of room on this one, right?
It's different.
We have a lot of room on this
It's-
one. I mean,
it's
we
different.
can. Marcella stated that it is a bona fide.
Right, well,
Piece of property.
let's just clarify this, because there was a few things that were said.
Right.
We're not, this has nothing to do with changing zoning. We're not changing zoning. This is for amending a site plan, not the zone. And the town council has the authority to amend that, and a business owner who owns the building can, of course, he can request that. But I don't want to even get into that now, because what we're doing is just referring this to a rescheduling. If you have a civil matter with the applicant, you can definitely go on with that. But we're going through this process as recommended by our solicitor. So that's what we're here to do.
Well, I would urge you to seek a second opinion because he's dead wrong. And on top of it, you're violating my client's property rights by going forward with this on an application of a stranger to the property. This is urban renewal. It is in your zoning. It is something that deals with every single issue that I spoke of. There is no standing of this applicant to seek this relief in the absence of the signature of the owner of the property upon which it's situated. You've had it here on the record. Your assistant solicitor is dead wrong on that. He called a quitclaim improvements only a deed. And he's a closing attorney, and he knows darn well that that's not a deed. It's not an insurable title. It's not a sufficient interest in property, and I'm urging you to stop this charade now.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public interested in speaking? So this is on scheduling specifically. Okay, all right, anyone from the council?
Yeah, I got a question for James. For us to reschedule this, is that going to put us in harm's way?
That's the recommendation of Mr. Marcello, who's handling this matter. I have to recuse myself from this entirely.
Oh, right.
I can't be involved. But,
So we're fresh out of attorneys? Boy, that's a
right, I know,
first.
sorry about that. But that is Steve's
You
recommendation.
can't swing
is
a
to
dead
continue.
cat without hitting an attorney.
And also, Patrick, just as a reminder, this has already started. So they've had a meeting.
That's right.
And it's basically continued to their next one. So we're not starting a new process, it's already begun.
Just a reschedule.
Right, okay.
I'm comfortable with it.
Have any questions?
I just wanted clarification, but we don't have, I just wanted a certainty that it's okay to go forward with this. And I know James can't answer that. Steve's not here. I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm just, I know you clarified it, so I was just trying to,
Yeah.
that's pretty much.
How about we vote up and down to reschedule based that it doesn't change the legal description of the property? James, is that something that might work? Could we reschedule this public hearing to, and basically say, we're not adding to or redescribing the property and its legal use, we're just rescheduling it? You know,
But we are, that is.
yeah,
what we're
but it's not, our rescheduling isn't gonna be a blessing for, you know,
no.
whatever
This is
legal
just to
description.
schedule it. So
Right.
if anyone has any questions for Steve, you can ask him after the meeting. This is scheduling it to October 3rd. If you want to find out more info, we can find it out
I know, but we're
in the
kinda
meantime,
flat-footed here, kind of flat-footed.
right?
I mean, he's not here.
We're not making a
It's
decision
scheduled.
tonight.
Yeah, it's just a scheduling, so.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Reschedule for October 3rd.
Okay. yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have a motion to reschedule a public hearing on the application of Narragansett Casino LLC, doing business as Narragansett Casino for a Class B victular limited alcoholic beverage license at Assessor's Plat C, Lot 181-1AS, 11 Pier Marketplace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
So this would be specifically for the liquor license. So October 3rd would be the date for that as well. All right, anyone from the public? Please state your full name and address.
Patrick Doherty, attorney with offices at 887 Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. I have the same point of procedure. This is an application for relief that is associated with land that my client has not signed in favor of. We are opposed to this. I don't believe that there's jurisdiction or standing on the part of the applicant for the same exact reasons, and for purposes of brevity, I'll incorporate all my previous comments into this one.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else from the public? Okay, any other questions from the council? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all
I'm going to
opposed?
say no, and I just would like to change my vote from the last one.
Was that a
just-
no?
Yeah, it's a no.
No on both.
Okay, maybe I didn't hear it. So Janet, for the last item, it was a 4-1. And for this one, Eva, you're voting no, right? Okay. Motion approved 4-1. All right. Next, we have a motion to schedule a public hearing on an ordinance to adopt revisions to the temporary tax credit that could be applied to certain properties receiving Historic District Commission approval for exterior repairs, renovations, and additions.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this one, we're looking at October 17th for this public hearing. And this is something that's been in the works, I think, for quite a few years. And we're finally at the point to get it going. Do we have any questions or thoughts or concerns from the council? Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have a motion to schedule a public hearing on proposed text amendments to the bulk zoning regulations of the town of Narragansett zoning ordinance. I guess that's it. Do
I'll
we have a
move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this is on from Councilor Kopech and myself. Deb, do you want to start or you want me to?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to step back a little bit and explain the last few months and actually the last couple of years of the bulk zoning ordinance. So a few years ago, less than 2 years ago, this council passed a set of amendments to our zoning ordinances to basically amend different definitions and characteristics of home building in town. So on lots that are R20, so lots under 20,000 square feet, we have amended our ordinances to basically try to deter larger scale homes that kind of do not fit the smaller lots. We do that for multiple reasons. Basically, to keep that kind of massing of homes down and to try to deter what have kind of become very large college rentals and summer rentals over the years. So we're looking for more appropriately sized homes on the smaller lots. Larger lots, we didn't address, just the smaller lots. This has been in place now for about a year and a half. Councilor Cicilline Bonanno was interested in hearing from basically some developers in town and what their thoughts were, if there were any issues, since we had this out in the real world. So she put together a meeting with some staff, one of the planning board members, myself, and some community members on the developer side. We took some feedback. They brought up some good points. Some things were things that were kind of overlooked. Others were just maybe opinions on things that we put in intentionally into the ordinance that maybe they weren't happy about. So we took that, compiled that. We actually had our building inspector, Wayne Pimentel, put a document together, and that went over to the planning board for their review. So they've reviewed it item by item and kind of chimed in on where they stood on a set of different issues, maybe 10 issues, 8 to 10 issues, and they gave an opinion on all of them. And they were pretty clear, I think, on what they were interested in reviewing and what they thought was fine and they didn't need to change. So what Councilor Kopech and I have done is now taken the items that they showed interest in reviewing, and we'd like to send those formally back to the planning board so they could give a recommendation on those items specifically to send back to the council. And then if we want to, we could take that recommendation and make some updates to these ordinances. So that's it. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
But Deb, if you want to add anything, you can feel free.
I think you did a great job.
I think you did a great job, too. Obviously, I want to continue to look at some of the modifications that were made. Planning Board made some recommendations. I know the staff is still kind of going through some of them, and so I would like to see a draft in front of the council to see if it fits. But I know, let me just say,
No, I'm
say
okay.
my piece. I think the A and B, the definition of attic space, basement, and the one that, to me, I'd like to just kind of get my head around is existing dwellings, people that live in Metatuxet that want to do something additional to their property and because of the fire and not going to be able to do that. So I know that there's a number of cases that have been before the planning and zoning, maybe 4, there's a few more coming up. I know I've received calls. I know that this has been an issue that I think we're going to live with long-term. So I want to make sure the ordinance that we have on bulk zoning, and I voted for it, is exactly what we intended for it to be, to not build monstrosities on small lots. But we are giving, or we are getting at those residents that want to expand on their property and they can't. We're including attic space, which isn't living space, basement. And I know that I met most recently with the town staff, and they're still trying to chew away at it, so I don't think it's perfect. And my recommendation would be to have the whole thing sent back to the planning board and let them go through it again with the towns, either look at it, have the town staff look at it. I just don't think it's in completely great shape, and I think we've learned a lot from the modifications that we presented because there were a lot of different groups looking at it. So I would just ask, I know that you guys like what the planning board sent to us, you want to send back, and I would just ask that if we could look at A, B, and existing dwellings to see what their ruling would be on those, because the people that have a house that's already built that might want to add a deck or add something that exceed the FAR, they're no longer going to have that ability. And I don't think that was the intent of this ordinance. I think this ordinance was to stop those huge houses on the small lots. And so I would just like to have a little more clarity to make sure we have it exactly right for the entire town and all the residents. And I just feel like it was well done, but as we went through it, we realized that we are running into some great difficulty with it.
So one of the things that we have in our packet is the outline for planning board review, and I think that does exactly that, what you're talking about. I mean, it shows what the staff felt about some of the things the planning board did in the first place, and what they totally agreed with, what they partially agreed with, and what they expressed would possibly have a negative impact on the whole concept of bulk zoning. So I think it's going back to the planning board with that commentary, and that will be the nature of what transpires. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen, what you're suggesting, Susan.
So, right, so they have the memo, but what
Right.
we're requesting is that they review what
Right.
we've included in the list.
Right.
But that doesn't include
It doesn't
basements and attics,
or
additions, that
existing
sort of thing.
dwellings.
Because
And
we
I-
already, right.
Because
Yeah.
they made it pretty clear that they were against making any of those changes, so why would we already know that. That was basically the point of that
exactly.
workshop.
But that's, in the list, it says which ones were which, so.
Right.
No, and in just meeting with, I was listening to, the community developer and the building inspector we met too. I mean, I still think it still needs to be flushed out and there's room for improvement on it.
Right.
So, I mean, I'd like to see the draft, but if you guys, I mean, I'm happy with beginning the modifications because I was the one that initiated the modifications. So I'll take what I can get tonight, but I'd like to widen the net just to make sure that we have it right, because we're going to live with it for a long time, and it's going to impact, I'm not just talking about new buildings, but existing ones, and that's the biggest thing, the people that live in this town that want to do a little something to their house, and they may not because they're going to be able to not do it because of the calculation of the FAR. So, again, my recommendation would be have them revisit the whole thing with the staff again, maybe, or the staff, send it back, I don't know. But I'm not completely happy without that, the attics or the basement, because I don't live in the basement, I don't live in the attic, so I don't know how you calculate that in your FAR. Existing dwellings, the intent was not to build oversized on postage stamp lot. So I just think it's a little far away from what the ordinance originally was, and I just plead to the council to make sure that we get full recommendation, and I don't know why it would hurt to have the planning board look at the whole thing in total, talk with the staff, you know, with the recommendations and see. Because Wayne wasn't at the last meeting at the planning, when those recommendations were made. It was just Mike. So I think he missed that opportunity as well.
Right. Well, let me just give a little bit of detail real quick on what we're sending back. And we'll discuss we have this motion, which is to schedule the public hearing, and we have the next one to refer, but we're scheduling it and referring for the same content. So I guess we'll have the discussion now, as opposed to the next item. But so item C is garages. So garages don't count in bulk zoning as living space. The problem is we left out some language unintentionally. So what that is it's just fixing an error. That was like a clerical error. So that's kind of like a no-brainer that you'd fix that. D is FEMA designated flood zones. So what that addresses is another unintended thing, which is basically if you have to elevate your house because you're building in a FEMA district or zone, that can't be living space. That's like basically an outdoor garage. There's like a very small amount of living space you're allowed to have there. It's like 300 square feet or something like that. So for us to count that whole level as a living space doesn't really make any sense. Right, so again, we see that. This was the whole plan, review this a year later and fix those obvious issues. So I think, the planning board will chime in on that, but I would be open to fixing something that's unintended. Decks and porches, we wanted to talk about whether that counts as living space when it's enclosed on 3 sides or more than 2 sides, that sort of thing. Hardscape, we don't want to count things like the pad underneath your AC unit. Like that shouldn't count as lot coverage hardscape because you need that. You're not using it for like recreation or anything. Softscape as well, so if you have a garden and that's mulched, that shouldn't count towards your lot coverage, those sort of things. And then with condominiums and cluster developments, we have to think about how bulk zoning works in those sort of developments as well. So the way that I see this is that if you think about it kind of like, I, as you know, I'm a web developer, and when you're building a site or if you're like a software developer, when you do it, you have there's features of the site or the software, and then you have bugs. Including basements and attics, because that could be finished as living space, the reason we included that as living space is that's a feature of this ordinance, not a bug that we should take out. If you take that out, you're fundamentally changing the way the ordinance works. So instead of limiting the house to 4,000 square feet, which is pretty good size on a 20,000 square foot lot, you could do a 6,000 square foot house. So it was intentional that we put basements and attics in. The rest of this list are bugs. These are things that we didn't intend to do. We can kind of see that was not what we were looking for. But to allow people to do additions if they already own the house, or to have a full basement with 8 or 9 foot ceilings, those are the features of this ordinance. So that's how I look at it. Let's send this back, fix it up, but not change it fundamentally. And if we send it back with everything, what we're saying to planning is, we're open to you changing everything. And we just voted on this a year ago. So I want to be accurate with what I want them to look at.
I'm going to repeat, I will certainly support the modifications for tonight, but I will be looking for further modifications because, again, I'm glad I brought these modifications up. So
Yep.
I'll take what I can get tonight.
Yep, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Jesse, with not doing the attic space in the basements. Definitely, the garages was an oversight. I don't mind the D, FEMA. So I had my list of letters, so it was basically C, D, F, G, I, and K to be looked at. So that's basically the garages, FEMA designated flood zones, like you mentioned, decks and porches. I think the definitions of the site coverage is important to look at, hardscape and softscape, which is I, and then just the condominiums cluster development. And those are really just the only things that I thought were necessary to go back.
Okay, and even, just because we're including this list, it doesn't mean that when it comes back, we're going to want to change all of them. These were just the ones that they expressed interest in looking at, and I thought we would value their opinion, as a recommendation coming back. So, the other thing, last thing, is any applicant, as we know, can request a variance for any of these. So you can always go before planning and zoning if you have a compelling case on why you should be able to exceed the floor area ratio or any other aspects. So, Patrick?
Yeah, well, there's a lot here to digest. I think maybe we should have another workshop and pick each one of these items apart and go over this again, because like Susan said, this is something that's going to be on the books, and we want to make it right. When we passed it, we all knew that ramifications were on the horizon, and this is where we're at now. So I think we need to get it right this time around, maybe with a workshop and variance. How many variances have been approved so far?
I know there was one last week.
One, okay. All right, because I think you should also maybe tie in like a special use permit scenario to these variances where
I think there were like 3.
promise not to rent, or, the original intent is not to build these big,
I think there were
eight-bedroom
5, but
houses.
only 1 got approved, and I think there's more coming up.
Right.
That's
well,
all I'm saying.
that's
Okay,
there's a lot of frustrated people out there who bought a lot of expensive property and had people lined up to work on them, and they got caught flat-footed. There was no grace period. It was just a window, and then the window closed, and I think a lot of property rights were violated. So I think a workshop, pick some of these issues apart, line by line, and let's get it right this next time.
all right, thank you. All right, we're going to go to the public. So the item's on scheduling, but we have been discussing what we're scheduling. So we'll start with Stanley. Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojcicki, 1044 Boston Neck Road. Councilwoman Shaw, I'm happy to see property rights. It's about property rights. I want to maximize the property rights that we have. That's what I see government constantly taking property rights away from us. Now you blame the college kids for this now, I mean, I see a 3-decker house right next to my small ranch, and it's fine. He wants to see the ocean. I want to do the same thing, so I want to build my 3-decker. I'm not going to put college kids in it, but I want to build my 3-decker. If my neighbor has the 3-decker, and I want a 3-decker so I can see the ocean when I retire someday, maybe, I want the right to do that. Like I say, I got to go for variance. I don't know how much money and whether I can handle that stuff. I'm not smart enough on that, I guess. But the basic issue is property rights. Maximize the property rights. Find every opportunity to maximize what the person can do with his property. And don't focus on college kid problem. No, that's not the problem. Focus on what's right, maximizing, giving the man the most availability to have the house he wants to have. Don't take something away. So I look at government taking away property rights. It's just a basic liberty. I don't have the liberty to utilize my property like I want to. They got 3 stories over there. It's fine. I can't have 3 stories. There's 3 stories all over the place now. So you don't want Narragansett with 3 stories? They're already here, and it's going to be tight. The whole town will be 3 stories. Vacation. Even the full-time residents will want it. So, I'd like to have my 5 kids come over and have a 3 stories. They come over. And that may be the case. That's what we are. Narragansett is a beach town, vacation town. Even families want their families to come on over and fill up this house. It's going to happen anyway. So let's allow us to have our rights, property rights. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stanley. Anyone else? Steve? Please state your full name and address.
Excuse me, Stephen Ferrandi, 44 Sylvan Road. Thank you, council members. I, too, attended the meeting at the planning board, and I think it was very appropriate of what they did. I mean, this is a year later, and some of the background material, it said that there would be to be tweaks and some suggestions about, some of the items that were unintended consequences. And the planning board did vet out just about every element from the Appendix A of what the people at the meeting, some of the developers and architects did not like, and every one of those did get vetted over. So some of them, the planning board was definitely adamant about not changing. That's 5. There's a pretty consensus vote on that. So it wasn't really, to me, a year later, it wasn't really intended to open up the whole ordinance and redo the whole ordinance again. So I think you're well within your right to look at these tweaks. If you guys want them, then fine. If you decide it, I don't think it's appropriate time to do a whole tweak. And another thing, I've seen some properties developed in my neighborhood and, South End and in other places where were done under the current zoning, and it matches much of the product of the other houses that are there. So, we haven't really heard the story about how many building permits did get permitted, that people are okay with building in the confines of the ordinance, and that's what's intended for. So these are just tweaks. There was nothing that said about a whole revamp of the ordinance. I know some people want to go look at it, they don't like it and all of that, that's fine. But, a year later, let's let the thing see what happened. I mean, you can still go for the variance. So I think it's quite appropriate with the 5 or 6 that you have. Vet those out and let the planning board discuss that and let it come back to you. I don't see any need to open it up. Let it work for a while. And that's what I have to say. Thank you, council.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to Mr. Alba. Please state your full name and address.
Sure. Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. I agree with Stan with respect to his, being consistent with, 4 unrelated across the board. I'm against the singling out the college students, so I agree with him there. But the thing is, if one has a property and one buys into a development, and it's 2 or 3 bedroom development, and the house is a certain size, and the person's worked all their life to get into that property, and they sweated, they worked 2 or 3 jobs to live in that beautiful house with the 2 or 3 bedroom development. And then you have a millionaire, a multimillionaire move into the neighborhood, buys 2 or 3 of those lots, knocks them all down, builds a huge monstrosity to rent it out, to make a killing. It's a beachside community. Is that fair for those people who don't have those multi-millions, who now have to suffer if this huge monstrosity is a negative to their property values? The reality is, if you build a huge monstrosity of a building, a house or whatever it might be, next to these quaint houses and next to it, it's going to have a negative effect on those houses, those small houses. If this person has that kind of money, let them build on Ocean Road, where we have the mansions. Let them build in those areas. Sure, it's a free country. Why is he or she encroaching on these other small properties? So I feel that we do have to have some kind of ordinance in place. And sure, as President Pugh mentioned, we can make exceptions. If a family has 8 kids and they want to convert a garage into another bedroom, well, that makes sense. But if they're going to knock down, they're going to raise one house, a small house, or raise the whole thing down and then build something twice as high, 3 times as high, let them do that on Ocean Road. We got the multimillionaires there, the billionaires there. But don't infringe on these quaint houses and these 2- or 3-bedroom communities. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, looks like that's it. Excuse me. So we have the motion to schedule this for a public hearing on October 3rd, as is. Susan, are you going to make an amendment, or you want to just go ahead with this?
No,
vote?
I'm gonna vote for it.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna ask the next time that the staff be included in the discussion, because the building inspector wasn't at the planning, and the director of community development was. And I think if they had some time, they could have really kind of worked some of this stuff out, and then it would have been ready to go to the planning board.
Okay, all right, so all in favor for October 3rd?
Aye.
Aye.
And
All
that's just
opposed?
for the scheduling. That's
Just for the
yeah,
scheduling of the public
aye.
hearing. All right, motion approved, 5-0. And then we have a motion to refer the proposed text amendments to the bulk zoning regulations of the town of Narragansett zoning ordinance to the planning board for recommendation pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 452451.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. All right, last one, a motion to schedule a public hearing on a proposed amendment to Narragansett's zoning ordinance, specifically section 18.1, entitled Requirement and Purpose. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so this is another motion from Councilor Kopech and myself. This one's a little bit different. So what this is basically it will codify as a ordinance a requirement that any applicant who's going through the zoning process needs to be able to supply or submit a municipal lien certificate. So what that means is that any application needs to be up to date in their property taxes. And if they're not, then they can pay those up, and then they can submit an application. What we're looking to avoid is people that go through the process when they have years and years of unpaid taxes. And a lot of times that is so that they can sell that property to a developer while they haven't been paying taxes on it for the last however many years. So this requires that taxes be up to date. Other cities and towns do this. Sometimes it's a policy, but we wanted to make sure to make it an ordinance so that it's not a question for staff whether it should or shouldn't happen. Okay. Deb?
I was just going to say that, I don't think we were particularly aware of this, and we became aware of it because of a situation with a property. And so once we did, we decided to investigate it and learned from Steve Marcella, I think it was, that this was handled in a couple of different ways in other municipalities, and we felt that we needed to address it. So that's what we're doing.
Thanks, Deb. All right, any questions or comments from the council? Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Oh, sorry, this is for October 3rd as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
October 3rd is going to be a
Yeah,
late
that's
meeting.
Motion approved, 5-0. We're going to have a busy night, October 3rd. Last is a motion to refer the proposed amendment of section 18.1 entitled Requirement and Purpose to the Planning Board for recommendation pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 452451. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Okay, so we're going to go back quickly to open forum. Is there anyone who didn't get to speak that's interested in speaking in open forum? Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda. Are there any items from consent that any council members would like to remove? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 9, under old business, is a motion to schedule a work session with the Parks and Recreation Department regarding beach policies and fees for the 2023 season.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, this comes from Councilor Cicilline Banano.
We've seen this before. This is a standard review of the beach. Unfortunately, we're not going to do it soon after the beach season. It looks like the scheduled date is November 14th. Most people don't like to talk about the beach around Thanksgiving, Christmas time. They usually like to talk about it right after the season, where it's fresh in their minds. But the last time we had it on the agenda, there was some real resistance to having it before the election, which it's fine. So this motion is to just review the beach, talk about the positives and the negatives, and just give the council some feedback on the beach enterprise and what's happening. We really don't have to change any policies if we're not ready to, but it just gives the council and the public some feedback on the season.
Thank you, Susan. Any comments from the council?
Yeah. Can I just, there's going to be a new council that's going to be sworn in. I don't think that happens until the 21st of November. So I think I was going to suggest a date for Monday, November 28th, so that a new council could discuss that.
I think the new council meets anyway. We did that last year. I thought we did that before.
I don't,
Maybe not.
I don't think so.
So there's a few different ways that can happen. Typically, you'd be sworn in at that first meeting,
Right.
which would be, you said what, the
21st, because
No,
after the
14th.
election, so the 13th.
Right?
well, that's
no,
the
we
second
did
Monday,
21st.
right, so it'd be the 21st. However, what we did last time because of COVID and some other reasons was we had a special meeting
It was,
and
it
got
was-
sworn in advance. You can do that. So you could be sworn in. I mean, it's a question whether that you want to have that be your first thing before even having a meeting.
I think it
But
depends
that's
on
up to you.
when the election counting is done.
Right.
Also, you'd have to
That's
have
what-
certification.
Yeah, so it does
Right.
get certified, right? Actually, that'd be a good Janet question. So the certification takes a little bit too, so Janet could answer that.
Yes.
One day.
Yeah, the council gets sworn in the first council meeting after the certification of the election by the Board of Elections. So and that's done throughout the state, so it's not just if we have a recount. If another municipality has a recount, or any other office there's a recount for, we have to wait for the Board of Elections to certify the entire election.
So do you think that, Janet, that the 28th, we would be pretty much certified by then?
I would think by the 28th is reasonable.
Could I too ask Michelle to come up as the director, since it's all about the beach and she's the director, just to kind of see if we're going to amend it to the 20th, 21st, did you say? It's fine. I just want to see how that works with the director.
So my only concern, and it's not really a concern, it's completely your decision when you want to have the meeting. My focus of the meeting would again be to discuss the 2022 beach season, our financial report, how the season went, et cetera, just a recap of the season. Now, of course, I know we will have a new council in place, and if the council wishes to make any changes to the current beach policies in place, they may do so. Again, my only concern is that our policies right now, we need to know what the changes are going to be, if there are going to be any, especially regarding the leases that we currently have at the beach. Our policy now states, or has always stated, that the last week in January, all of those applications and invoices go out for the 563 lease agreements currently in place. Also, right now, the clerk in my department, she'll be reviewing those applications, checking on residency requirements, et cetera, and preparing that paperwork. So again, if there are going to be changes voted on by a new council, we would need to know those as soon as possible so we could get the ball rolling on the 2023 beach season.
All right, are we good with Eva's date? Thanks. Are we good with Eva's date, whatever you want to change it to?
It's up to you guys.
I mean, I just think, yeah,
Would have to change it.
right.
Yeah.
So the 20,
So the 20th, is that?
28th, the 28th, just because of the certification.
So
Is that
basically, your
enough
concern
time?
is that you might not, the new council may not be sworn in because this election won't be certified.
Right.
Right, so there's really no options,
Right.
right? It's not like a subjective thing, like if there's no sworn-in council, you can't have a workshop.
Is it possible we could just have a meeting just to report on the beach and possibly schedule a workshop with the new council? Because I think there's a big difference between having a workshop to discuss beach policies and things like that, as opposed to just a recap of the 2022 beach season.
I mean, you can schedule it also for the 14th and then reschedule it if there's no council.
Yeah, why don't we try that, since that's...
Because it could be certified, right? That's still a
Yeah.
week.
It's more likely
You think it's
this
gonna be-
year than it was 2 years ago
Right,
to be
right.
certified
Yeah,
earlier.
I mean, and then if we can't do it, then we cancel the meeting, right? Can we just, and that helps you a little bit too,
Yeah,
Michelle.
yeah,
And
so
you gotta
that makes sense.
advertise.
Only
That's
2
okay.
days,
Yeah.
because it's just a regular
Well,
meeting.
it depends on where it lands.
It's not a public hearing, so it doesn't need advertising.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't need.
okay, so that's helpful. I mean, let's go for the 14th, and if we have to cancel it, we have to cancel it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think it's, people are overthinking it way too much.
Again, it's totally your decision. I would respectfully request, just as usual, a recap of the beach season, not getting into the weeds of any policy changes, et cetera, just letting you know, and the new council know, and the people of the town of Narragansett, what happened, the money we brought in, the statistics that we have on the number of people that came to visit, et cetera,
Yeah, and-
and the fact that we only had 4 rain days.
Yeah.
Michelle,
That
since you
was
got a
good, huh?
scaled-down version of your report here, is that something you can do during presentations in the
Yes,
beginning
sir.
of a meeting?
Yes, sir, I'm hoping to keep it very brief with a small
Why don't we do that?
PowerPoint
Why don't we do that?
presentation, just get into the meat and potatoes.
I would be very surprised if the Board of Elections certifies an election in 3 days.
30 days?
3.
Oh, 3.
No, because just to get it into, yeah, you have to have it set up. They might, though.
All right, well, it's up to you guys. I'm not,
Just then make
We
it,
won't be
if
on
you
the
don't,
calendar.
Janet, if you
Yeah.
don't think that, then we'll go with the
28.
20.
Yeah, let's just.
That's the best we can do. I tried for
And then that's-
September. I don't know, we've been doing
Is
this
it
for
the 20
years
It's not
and
the 28th,
years.
it's the 21st.
Is it?
well, you could do
Is
either,
it
right?
what's
It's the 20, oh, are we doing it off?
You'd have to have a special meeting to get sworn in if you did it on the 21st, because that would be an off night.
Yeah, so that was the point.
Is
So
that
the
right?
21st is our
7 and
regular one,
14
so
is 21, not 28.
the 21st is the regular meeting, so you get
7th was
sworn
the-
in,
is-
right?
Oh, right,
So
yeah.
you get sworn in on the 21st if it's certified, and then the following Monday, or it could be any other day, like during the next week after we get sworn in, or whoever gets elected.
That's what I would do. Well, I don't see why we couldn't just do it on the same day as the meeting, so do it on the
Do that
21st.
too.
We can just come in at, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
All right, I'll
Just
make an
kidding, just
amendment
kidding.
to
But
the
is
motion
that-
for the 21st.
Yeah,
All right,
Janet, is-
Thanks, Michelle.
You're
so
welcome.
do you
thank you,
think-
Michelle.
It doesn't have to be on a Monday, so.
That's
if
true,
you
too.
wanted to choose a different day, if you wanted to choose like the Wednesday of that same week.
Let's just do it on the 21st, I think.
okay.
Yeah, I'll make an amendment to the motion to do it on November 21st, so we'll be certified, we'll be on that night, and
Sounds good.
All right,
November 21st, at what time?
6:30.
6:30,
That's
6:30?
Because
Michelle, do you think you need more than an hour?
November 21st, it would have to be after the meeting. Because you're going to get sworn in at that meeting on the 21st. So it would have to be after you're sworn in.
Right.
Right.
Let's do the 22nd.
yeah, so that would be like a very late
What about the
workshop.
22nd?
Oh, unless we got sworn in at
I
6
knew I
and then
was
had the
fond of
workshop
the
at 6:30.
September date.
Yeah, really, who knew?
Gosh.
Who knew?
So if the 21st doesn't work, then we'll make a beach workshop on the 22nd.
Okay.
How's that? The modification or the amendment on the motion is the 22nd, so it's after the meeting, after we're sworn in, the next day.
All right, so you have an
Sounds good. Sounds like
amendment
a
to
plan.
reschedule this to November 22nd.
Sorry, Michelle.
Does that sound, okay? I'm trying.
All right, is there anyone from the public interested in speaking? Okay, November 22nd?
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Patrick, did you want to move something up? you said?
Yeah, I'd like to move up item 24.
Okay, do you want to make a
Advance
motion?
that. I'd like to make that motion, let these people, we have to sit through this, these people don't.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
All right, all in favor to move that up?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. So number 24 is a motion to approve a hotel motel license for Surf Shack Bed and Breakfast LLC, 83 Narragansett Avenue, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to local and state regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this is exactly what the motion said. Is there any discussion? So this already went through zoning and got approved. Any discussion from the council? And we have the applicant here as well, if you'd like to hear from him.
Sure.
Sure. Jack McGreen for the applicant. Yeah, we have the whole team here, just in case you had any questions. But yes, to answer your question, we did get planning board and zoning board approval to convert this property to a hotel, which actually makes it more conforming because a hotel in this zone is permitted, in an R10A zone is permitted by special use. So by converting it to a hotel with a restaurant, which is a permitted accessory use, it actually makes the property more conforming.
Sounds wonderful.
Does anyone have any questions? Nope.
Can I just ask a couple of questions? Because it's just language I don't understand, so. It's one of the things it talks about is digital coverage, concierge coverage, I think it was.
Yes, so this was something that we noticed. First off, for those that don't know, my name is Lindsay Holmes, and my wife and I, Christina,
Welcome.
are the owners of the property in question. One of the changes that we've seen, not only nationwide, but internationally in hotel management, really kind of started pre-COVID, but COVID kind of really solidified it, was changing your guest experience from a person being your concierge when you check into the lobby of a hotel and you have a dedicated person just at a concierge desk to field things like dinner reservations, ferry reservations in our community, kind of things like that. It's moved more to a digital platform where I'm sure that you guys have seen when you check into some hotels, you now have an iPad in your room with all of these info trees and hyperlinks that allow you to navigate that, and then obviously in-house staff help for anybody that isn't comfortable with that. But it came down to labor cost and whatnot to have one dedicated person just fielding those requests from the guest, particularly in a 7-room inn. That would be a lot of waste of labor if we were to go down a more traditional concierge route.
Okay. That's good. I haven't been out much since COVID, so there's some things I don't know.
And some people love that because it's familiar to them. You know, it's how we would make a dinner reservation if we were using Open Table and we were just going out in town.
Got it.
So I think they're still a little divided where some demographics want that face-to-face, and I feel like it's just something that we're seeing trend-wise in hospitality.
Okay. And the other one that I just wasn't sure I understood what that was the concept of passive service only.
So passive service versus like an active service area. So for example, if you were to go to a restaurant and they had a long wait for a table, and you had this little area where you could sit, you could go to the bar. Think like the lounge at Spain sometimes, even though they have active. It used to, be more of a passive service where you could go to the bar, you could get a cocktail, and then you could go back to your seat in the lobby as you're waiting for your table.
Gotcha. Okay. I just didn't know those words. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, great, thank you. What do you think as an opening date? Everyone's waiting.
I know. Well, there's a lot of people that want to be involved in this, so we're still waiting to get before HDC. I guess there was an advertising issue that's bumped us twice now. We've had the application before them since the end of July. So we're looking to just get some of these final finishing touches approved through them, and we are grateful for their support. So I understand that just some of the logistics. And then you guys will have a motion before you. If I have it my way, it would be before you, not the new council, and for our full liquor license.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone from the public? Yep, Dr. Alba? Al, please state your full name and address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. Yeah, I'm a big supporter of all businesses, and I think it's Surf Shack Bed and Breakfast. That sounds like a small business, hardworking people. So that's great. And we all got to see on this motion. It says this business, these owners, they're subject to local and state regulations. So we're imposing local and state regulations on this business, which we should, but let's do that for all properties in Narragansett, including the Lighthouse Inn, Dutch Inn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? All right, let's go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Congratulations.
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 Good luck.
Looking
See you
forward to it.
soon.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we are going to go to number 10. Under Parks and Rec is a motion to approve the reconditioning of the Barber Beach Rake from H. Barber and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $19,119.79.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, any questions or discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 11, under Information Technology, is a motion to approve the purchase of revenue software from Tyler Technologies in the amount of $224,893. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay. Actually, I would like to have our IT director, Dan Holland, come up to explain this one. Thanks, Dan.
No problem at all.
It's a big number.
This agenda item is the result of a implementation that has gone sideways with the current vendor. As the summary states, what we were shown in demos was not exactly what we got. Unfortunately, subsequent attempts to make the system work have failed. We've had, in fact, the first billing out of the system failed, came out late. We ended up having to roll back to the existing software. The second billing was supposed to be out on the 1st. That will not make it. Everything that they've done since the first one has not fixed any of the issues. Ultimately, we're going back to the original software before we actually awarded that contract in order to bill for UTB. Taxes appears to be fine, but our intention is to replace this software with the Munis revenue system. Yes, it is a lot more money. Unfortunately, the bulk of that money goes towards implementation, where the current vendor charged extremely small amount of money for it, anticipating a very short implementation of only 30 days, which is actually in their RFP proposal. Nothing of the sort happened. The alternative vendor who actually bid on this bid zero money towards implementation, which makes no sense whatsoever. Munis will actually interface entirely with our financial system, including purchasing, general ledger, accounts receivable, and payables, without having to do a bridge between the two. It also comes with a very robust interface for the taxpayer to use, where they can actually register online with this, so they actually see their accounts, they can pay their accounts, they can actually review their water bill and water reads when we move to a billing reading system that can support that. Any questions at all?
I was just curious if you were able to recoup anything from this other company.
The intent, well, we'll know more tomorrow after a phone call with that company as to where they're going to support us and moving back to the old system. We don't really have a choice at this point.
Yeah, I get that.
But our intention is to pursue that.
Good, great, thank you.
Dan, I know we're kind of in a sticky situation on this one.
We are.
I did have a question about the funding.
Sure.
Because I see that it's split in some way between contingency and IT account.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the split is?
The bulk of it will come from contingency. The annual cost will come from IT.
Okay, so that means, like-
38,000 of it will be from IT, and the remainder, 121, roughly.
no, 190 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
190?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, everyone good? with
Yeah, I
that?
just got a quick question. Was there any a rebate from the previous vendor?
We are going to try and address that. Ultimately, we do need to pay for the real estate side of it.
She said she
Right.
just asked
Just
that.
as a reference, we are not canceling the contract with the existing vendor. We actually need them to process in the old system.
Right.
They own both of them. UTB bills and real estate bills until the new one is actually implemented.
Right.
We have to do a
Well-
Munis upgrade before we can actually do
There
that.
should be some kind of credit on the horizon, right?
That's what we'd like to do.
All right, thank you.
Just, that reminded me, how long do you think it'll be to implement this?
Depending on the length of time before we can get the Munis upgrade done first. All the demos and demonstrations that we saw from Tyler are related to their newest version. We are not there yet.
Okay.
The bulk of their clients are on the version that we have, so they're trying to migrate them as quickly as possible. Worst case scenario, it'll be spring. We are on a list for cancellation. If somebody cancels at the last minute, we're going to jump right on it. So
Okay.
we are prepared for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question. I know you got a lot going on. How's that firewall doing? Live and well?
Sure, excellent.
All right, that's all.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 12 from engineering is a motion to approve the filling of one temporary vacancy, water operator within the water division.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 13 is a motion to refer the request from Taft and McSally LLP in regard to Plat C, Lot 344-A, 85 Narragansett Avenue, for waiver of the sewer policy to the Sewer Policy Committee for review.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Just a referral?
That's fine.
Okay, anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 14, under the Police Department, is a motion to approve the Police Department's request to hire one new dispatcher.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 15 is a motion to approve the annual contract for technical support for the Police Department's computer software system with TriTech Software Systems Central Square in the amount of $20,770.55.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions?
No.
Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 16 is a motion to approve the purchase of ammunition for the police department from AAA Police Supply in the amount of $13,885.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. And number 17 is a motion to approve the purchase of 29 Armor Express Level 2 Razor Bullet-Proof Vest packages from AAA Police Supply in the amount of $25,955, which is $895 each.
I'll move the motion. I see
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 18, under Public Works, is a motion to approve, ratify, and confirm the emergency repairs made to Police Department Car 22, completed by Mike's Service Auto Body in the amount of $18,145.20.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this has actually already been done, so we're just approving the expense retroactively.
But there was an addition. I was just wondering because we received funding, partial funding from the trust, right? And I was just wondering if but then the amount was higher than was anticipated, which is always the way with a vehicle, right? And I was curious if we would get additional funding from the trust for that change. Does anybody know the answer to that? The
Not
answer's
slated
no,
to at
right?
this junction, no.
Thank you, just curious.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Number 19 is a motion to approve the purchase of one new 2023 or 2024 Doosan 6,000-pound capacity forklift for Public Works from Doosan Industrial in the amount of $30,187.77.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Number 20 is a motion to approve the purchase of one new 24-foot Bobcat, or 24-inch Bobcat planer for Public Works. No, 24-inch, yes. For Public Works from Clark Equipment Company, doing business as Bobcat Company, in the amount of $23,923.24.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
It's a pretty good deal for 24-footer.
I guess. It's
Just
kind of a
kidding.
cool tool. I looked
No,
it up,
I
it was
know.
really interesting.
Anyone from the public? Okay. Anyone from the council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 5-0. Number 21, under town clerk, is a motion to approve 16 applications for one-day peddler licenses for the Calamari Festival to be held on September 10th, 2022 at Veterans Memorial Park, subject to state and local regulations. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I think that you remove one item, approve 15 of the 16, remove the Dells, let Ms. Bonanno recuse herself from that vote,
Okay.
whatever you're going to vote on those 15, so that no issues arise, just for,
Because
Just to
it
be-
could be, right?
Is that okay with everyone? Okay.
She
So
could just recuse her.
it's up to you. how you
Yeah,
want to
that,
do it.
I believe in the solicitor, I'm happy to do that. I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. I don't want anybody to accuse me of doing any wrongdoing, so I'm fine with not voting on the Dells and voting on the 15 for the calamari.
I just say, just motion to amend to approve those 15, and then a separate vote on the Dells.
All right, does
So
everyone want to
moved.
make the motion?
So moved.
All right, who wants to make the motion?
I just,
Oh, you want to do the
I
one you
said
said?
so moved.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
You have that, right, Janet? Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
So this is for the,
This is for all
except Dells.
applications except for the Dells.
Yep.
Any comments from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Next motion?
Do we?
We need to do
Yeah,
another
do
one.
one for
right? Yeah,
Dells,
yeah.
right, right.
16A.
To approve the application for a
21A.
one-day peddler license for Dell's Lemonade for the Calamari Festival to be held on September 10th, 2022 at Veterans Memorial Park, subject to local and state regulations.
Sounds good. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Anyone from the public? And just to be clear, Counselor Cicilline Bonanno is recused from this item specifically. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 4-0. All right, sounds good. Okay, we have number 22, which is a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license application for Mary O'Brien doing business as Soggy Express, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this is another mobile food truck application. Any questions or comments from the council? This is 14.
He's keeping count.
Just-
What says it
Just
here?
Jesse, you started a landslide, is what I'm thinking.
One
So,
by one, here they come.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, anyone from
Better
the
than
public?
Soggy.
Right.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 23 is a motion to approve a victualling license and holiday license application for Jeffrey and Jody Perino, doing business as Gansett Creamery and more, 106 Point Judith Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this is going into the current spot where Moo-Moo's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moo-Moo's ice cream.
106 Point Judith, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So that'll be good to have something open there,
Yeah,
I think. Any questions or comments? Anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 25 is a motion to appoint a Republican alternate member to the Board of Canvassers. Is there a motion?
I'll move, oh, go ahead.
Is there a second?
Yeah,
Second.
Second.
Okay. Do we have so we have a recommendation from the Republican Town Committee for David Matrullo. Is there a nomination for him? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And again, typically, the way this works, we've done it with the Democratic Committee, is the chair sends a recommendation, and we pretty much go with that.
Fine.
Is there anyone from the public interested in speaking? Okay, so this is for the alternate seat. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 26 is a motion to appoint one individual to the Zoning and Planning Board of Review. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
And I have
All
a
right, second from Eva. We have a nomination.
I have a nomination for Ellen Cornio for the second alternate seat on the zoning board.
Okay, do we have any other nominations?
Yeah, I would like to nominate Bob Breyer.
Okay, so we've had these situations this term. So when we have two nominations, what we've tried to do is kind of just have a discussion, come to a consensus, and then we go with that nomination and vote on that rather than vote no on another one. So why don't we open this discussion? So Susan, you nominated
So, yeah.
Ms. Cornell.
We did the public interviews, and I thought she was so qualified. I mean, she's an attorney of finance, an attorney for 34 years. She just moved to Narragansett. She's a resident. She wants to participate in her community. And I thought she did an outstanding public interview, and so I thought she would be an asset to the town.
Okay, Deb? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
go-
Yeah, so
go
I
ahead.
Nominated Bob Breyer. He's been an employee before. He specifically only requested that he was interested in zoning, and I thought Ellen was great. She also stated that she'd be interested in other committee appointments, and I thought she'd be a great fit for some of the other committees that we have. She's also new to town, not that that makes a difference, but, Bob has he has the knowledge and has been here for a long time, and I really thought that he would be a good fit for this position at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I support Bob also. I mean, he's been in the trenches, planning and zoning, and, the building inspector's office, so, I mean, he's got firsthand knowledge that, just over time, so I support him.
Okay, Councilor Kopech?
I would support Ellen Cornell. I think one of the things that I was really impressed with was that, first of all, she has municipal experience at a good level for this kind of work, for the zoning work, and so I'm not taking nothing away from Bob. I just thought
he's
she
great,
had really
too.
impressive credentials.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think they were both good interviews. What I was impressed with Ms. Corneau was just her breadth of knowledge. I think she would be great on any board, really, but a lot of people would be good on any board. I think her law experience would be useful. But the thing that I really liked specifically was that she told us that she was building a house in the pier on a smaller lot that falls under bulk zoning, and she respected the ordinances and built within those confines and didn't complain about it, didn't try to get around it. And that's going to be something where this zoning board is going to be the one responsible for all of these variances that come in. So for me, somebody who works within our existing ordinances rather than trying to have an opinion of their own that are outside the ordinance is important. And I think that she would stick with reading a straight reading of our ordinances. So I'm going to go with Ellen as well. So, that makes 3, 2. All right, so why don't we, unless there's any objections, we'll go ahead with the nomination for Ms. Corneau. So you've already nominated, so we'll just go ahead and vote. Actually, why don't we go to the public? Any comments from the public? Okay, come on up. If you could state your full name and address.
Elizabeth Del Ghizo, 102 Riverdale Drive. I listened to both of the applicants, and I was very impressed with Ellen. She seemed to be very straightforward, and the one thing that turned me a little bit on the other person was he was interviewing, and he's already talking about giving somebody, a change in the zoning, I forgot what you call
Variance.
that. A variance. And, we put these zoning issues into effect, and we're not in business to give zoning variances. We're supposed to be holding to them. That's my take on it anyway.
Thank you.
And I think Ellen would be very strict on that.
Okay, anybody else? All right, we'll go ahead and take the vote. So this nomination is for Ellen
Can I
Flynn
have
Cornell.
a second on the motion?
Second.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yep. Yeah, because I guess we're redoing the motion.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
All right, motion approved, 3-2. All right, we have number 27 from the town council, which is a motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading an amendment of Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 8 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett entitled Affordable Housing Trust. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, so we've done the first reading. This is the second. Susan, anything to add?
No, I'm just hoping for support on this Affordable Housing Trust Collaborative so we can get the real work done for the town
Okay.
around affordable housing.
Any other questions or discussion from the council? Okay, anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 28 is a motion to direct the town manager to issue a request for a proposal for a study that will analyze the housing stock in the town of Narragansett. The scope of the analysis should include, but not limited to, the content of the letter drafted to the Narragansett Town Council by the Affordable Housing Collaborative Committee. The cost of such proposal shall be limited to a maximum of $25,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funds. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so this is from Susan as well. Susan, you want to go ahead?
So again, the $25,000 is going to be used for, from the American Rescue money to have a consultant or somebody work on helping the Affordable Housing Collaborative Trust learn more about the demographics, about the housing, and how we can better get at, more affordable opportunities for Narragansett. It is not an easy problem to solve. The state is struggling all across every community, and we're looking at ways that we can really analyze what we have in Narragansett, help us maybe with some ordinances around it, and just trying to increase affordable housing for residents. And we don't have one answer. There's going to be a variety of strategies, and that hopefully out of this study we'll get a multitude of ideas to help, help try to solve some of what we're in the crisis with. So I hope you'll support it. It's something that's really needed, and we have a good group that's working on affordable housing, but, they're regular residents. We have, certainly the community developer, but the people on the committee are trying to solve the problem, but they're not as experienced as hiring somebody to kind of walk us through how we can get this accomplished. So I look forward to that. I went after the American Rescue money last time with you all, I think, pretty seriously. And so I hope that you'll support this motion tonight.
All right, thank you. Okay. Anyone from the council?
Yeah, so I know affordable housing is a big issue. And I was doing a lot of research over the weekend on this, and I actually came across a 2005 thesis that was really great. It was, I found it, and it actually addressed a lot of the issues in town, and I think they're still relevant today. And there was just, from reading through, it was ended up being 176 pages that I kind of looked through, and it ended up being James's wife that did the thesis, so I just found that out, which was amazing. Small world. But it had plans, so it was, like, over the years, we should have been planning for affordable housing in this town. I know it's going to be constantly an issue because there is limited land. And I know a lot of municipalities do hire consultants to do this because it is an area of expertise, and, and when they are reviewing it, we definitely need them to look at our ordinances to make sure that it doesn't prevent opportunities for affordable housing in our community. So I do support this motion.
And Eva, you brought up, it's really difficult, and a lot of the land that we've been looking at is preserved by the land trust. And so really, we're limited in the opportunities that we have in the town that's, already really developed or preserved. So it's going to be tricky to try to figure out how and where and when, but definitely need some expertise around this. And I want to thank Mike and his department, for helping so much on that collaborative, because, it's a beast to try to solve. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think I saw Mike's name mentioned in that 176-page document, so I'm sure you're familiar with it, with Lindsay. So.
You didn't see him on the side of the road in a van, did you? No.
Patrick or Deb?
The other thing that I would say is that I only had a chance so far to attend one of the committee meetings. And when I did, there were folks who came from South Kingstown who talked to us about stuff. And I think they did exactly the same thing with some really good results. So I definitely am in support of this.
Okay, great. Patrick, anything?
Yeah. For starters, I wanted that ARPA money to go towards paying down the OPEB, and still committed to that, but that ship has sailed. As far as affordable housing, by going to a 3-student, you're taking 2- and 3-bedroom homes off the market for affordable housing. I think your survey will find that after you're spending $25,000, that your survey would find what I've been saying since we passed that 3-student ordinance. So I'm a no on this one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go to the public. Stanley? Please state your full name and address.
Stan Wachowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road, affordable housing. Like Pat said, sometimes we make laws that make unaffordable housing. And when we realize that, we should go and change. Just make the changes necessary to make housing more affordable. That's the first step. The other potential issue I see is zoning. We got zoning. We got zoning laws or zoning. And in the past, what I've seen is sometime in order to provide affordable housing, we've had to violate our zoning. I understand that. You want to be kind, and do we have a zoning law or don't we? If you're going to violate a zoning law to provide affordable housing, then I guess others should be allowed to violate the zoning law for their desires. Again, rights, property rights, rights. If you got the right to violate zoning, I want the right to violate zoning. So I get nervous when I get some parcels of affordable housing, they violated the zoning, and we're pretty close, tight already in Narragansett, and to tighten us up even more, maybe the idea is to set up a fund or a reserve to purchase some cheap houses for affordable housing. Not build something on a swamp or violate zoning, but go out there and get the funds, establish some kind of fund to get the money to buy up some of these houses, buy up some cheap houses, existing houses for affordable housing. But I just want to be careful that we don't violate zoning laws as we move on. pay attention to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stanley.
All right, Dr. Alba. Please state your full name and address.
Yes, Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. I'm supportive of affordable housing. And 25,000, I know it's coming from the American Rescue Plan. And we were told tonight by Dr. Eva that she read a thesis. I was just wondering, maybe we can ask the town solicitor, where she did this study and this thesis, which I'm sure was supported by doctors of the university. What was the benefits? Did it really bring in affordable housing? So we're spending money on 25,000. I know there's a family of 8 in our neighborhood that were possibly going to be homeless. I created the South County housing rental page. It's over 2,600. Hasn't been even probably a year since I started that page. It's just growing leaps and bounds. I'm hearing stories all the time. I'm a single mother with a young child. I need a place to live. Any help? Many examples like that. So we have how many millions in surplus? Today's paper, the Providence Journal, all the money that was supposed to be supported on these ancillary and supportive programs for the stadium, it's all going to the stadium now, a soccer stadium. It makes you shake your head in disbelief. All these millions in surplus. I would like each of you write a joint letter to our governor saying we want some of these millions of dollars in surplus for affordable housing in Narragansett. You are all in a position of power, just like in Galilee. We want your legacy to be fine. We had Laurie Kelly up here earlier today praising you for your fight for the library. So let's praise you for your fight for Galilee and for affordable housing. So on that note, sure, we can do another study, we could do another thesis, but is that a feel-good? Well, we're doing something. It's making us all feel good. What's the results of it going to be? I'm a results person. So before we spend the $25,000, let's determine, is there better use for that? Maybe we can appropriate the $25,000 for a family that's in dire need of that money. Just a strong consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Just to clarify for people here and anyone watching, so this would be to approve issuing an RFP. It doesn't approve the expense at this time. So we would be putting out an RFP, getting bids back, and then it would have to come back to the council to approve the expense. And hopefully those bids would give a little bit of detail on what we would be paying for. So I think, I agree, Al, we want some actionable items to go after with this. This isn't just a study that sits there. It's initiatives that we can hopefully pursue. But again, this is just for the RFP. So any last thoughts? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved, 4-1. Next, we have number 29, which is a motion to direct the town manager to work with the town solicitor to begin foreclosure proceedings of the vacant land properties included in the attached list, all of which are 5 or more years delinquent on real estate taxes.
I'll
Do we-
move the motion.
Second.
Okay. All right, so this is a motion from Councilor Kopech and I. Deb, do you want to speak on it, or do you want me to start?
I can speak a little bit.
Okay.
Again, this was a situation where we became more aware of the fact that we had people who were not paying their taxes, their real estate taxes, on a regular basis, and we asked for a list. We got the list, and we feel that we need to act on that. And so this is an opportunity to do that, or to at least to direct the town manager to begin the process of foreclosure. What happens, and these are all properties that are not built on, right? That's what we have in this particular group. It's vacant land.
Right.
And You know, conceivably, some of that land might be the perfect place to do to build some affordable housing, if it turns out that way. If in fact people who realize that they haven't paid their taxes pay their taxes, then that solves the problem as well. So it's kind of a win-win no matter what, I think. I'm very happy to co-sponsor this particular motion.
Thank you, Deb. Just a couple additional details. So if you're looking at this list, there are some redacted entries, just to be clear. Those are properties that are less than 5 years delinquent. That's the only reason they're taken out. We just couldn't edit this list as is, so we redacted those. I also would like to just add some wording if this is approved and while we vote, just to specify that if there are any properties on this list that are inadvertently homes and not vacant, that those are excluded from our direction.
Right, for now.
We just want to be totally clear about that. But these are all undeveloped land, over 5 years or more delinquent, and there needs to be some accountability, I think, for property owners who own who, just like the rest of us, should be paying taxes whether they're living on that land or not. Any other discussion or thoughts from the council?
Yeah, I'll be recusing myself from the vote, but I would like to discuss this. I can do that, right? I just had a question for you. Every year in June, don't we have
Can you do
a
that?
foreclosure
You can
list?
abstain.
Yeah.
You can't, if you recused, you would be
Well,
totally.
All right.
But you can
I'll
abstain.
recuse, but you go ahead and explain our foreclosure
Right,
process.
there's a difference between foreclosure and the tax sale. The tax sale happens every June, I think, and then foreclosure don't occur unless the town takes proactive action to do that. I don't think that's been done in Narragansett for many years, as far as I know. So that foreclosure action has to begin. It takes approximately 9 months. Any point prior to the actual gavel coming down, the foreclosure taking place, the homeowner can come in and actually redeem the taxes. So in some instances, there's not much here that they owe, so possibly they would do that or not. It depends. So that's basically where we stand there.
All right.
I'm recused.
Eva, any thoughts?
No, I did discuss this with James, so he clarified a lot of the information previously, and I know that other municipalities have mechanisms to do this or do it, so I think it's time that we start also implementing it.
Right, okay, thank you. And again, just to reiterate, as this process begins, any of these property owners can step up and pay their taxes or go to a hearing and make their case there as well, if they don't want the foreclosure to proceed. Why don't we go ahead and go to the public? Anyone interested in speaking on this? Yep. Please state your full name and address.
Good evening. My name is Christine Brochu, 9 Wilson Drive in Narragansett. Good evening. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Could I ask a question, though? The properties on the list, are they already foreclosed on? Did they have a foreclosure deed or like a tax sale deed on them, or are these just delinquent in taxes?
Right, I think there's a tax sale deed, but a foreclosure is a different mechanism. That has
So
not-
they have
has-
had the tax sale deed, so the town is the tax sale owner already?
Right, there is a deed recorded.
Thank you. So I fully support that this well-thought-out motion. These are not family homes. They have not fallen a little behind. These are vacant lots with over 5 years of unpaid taxes, and it is not fair or equitable to allow these properties to continue to not pay their taxes. I know one of these vacant parcels was up for tax sale in 2010 for unpaid taxes for the years 2006 and 2007 and the 2008 sewer fees. No one bid on the property, so the town recorded the tax sale deed with the town of Narragansett as the tax sale owner. If I had purchased that vacant land at the tax sale instead of the town, I could have petitioned the courts a year and a day after the date of the tax sale deed was recorded under Rhode Island general law if full payment wasn't made. This action to start the foreclosure, I believe, is fully supported by Rhode Island general law 44.925, 44.919, 44.917, and I hope you all will support this motion. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Yep, come on up. Hi, please state your full name and address.
My name is Barbara Rampo. I live at 10 Marsh Lane in Narragansett. Nobody likes taxes. Taxes are a necessary evil. I don't know anyone who is like, yippee, I'm going to pay my taxes. However, they are important. They pay for our public services. They pay for our fire department, our police department, our schools. I feel that citizens who own property have a moral and ethical responsibility to pay their taxes. And I don't understand how people aren't paying them. I wasn't aware of the fact that I could just not pay my taxes and yet still retain all the rights and responsibility afforded to someone who is up to date on their taxes. So I really agree with this, and I want the town to move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, in the back, Mr. Alba. Please state your full name and address.
Yes, Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. I think you said 5 years. Some of them were delinquent 5 years. Wow. I'm actually surprised it's taken so long for us to act. It seems like excessive time. Also, when I looked at some of the fees, I said, for 5 years delinquent, maybe some of them didn't seem that large of a fee, but we have to, let's be consistent. So if we are going to go after the citizens who are delinquent, violating zoning and taxes, let us now have the council also act on all the violations in Galilee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, does it look like it? Any last thoughts from the council? Okay, all right. So just again, in this direction, we just want to ensure that if there are any properties that are homes and not undeveloped lots, we do not want to proceed with those foreclosures at this time. Is that correct? Everyone agrees? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 4-0. All right. With one recusal. Number 30 is a motion to schedule a work session for a short-term rental ordinance.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, this comes from Deb and Eva, I believe.
Yes, so this is just scheduling the workshop for the new ordinance that's going to be addressing short-term rentals, which is less than 30, which is 30 days or less. And it's going to be a new ordinance specific to short-term rentals in the town of Narragansett. And the recommended date in the packet is different, so we're going to request that it's Tuesday, September 20th at 5 p.m.
Okay, so we'll make, do we need to, we don't really need to amend because it's just in the summary,
So
right?
Janet, did you get the date? It's Tuesday,
Just
September
a workshop.
20th
Oh.
at 5
You don't want to
p.m.
wait for new council on this one either, or we waited for the beach workshop? I don't
You can bring it up. It's not my motion.
We spent going around and around with the beach workshop, with the new council, with the old council, and we're going to do a workshop for short-term rentals in 2 weeks, with the new council turning over in a couple of weeks, too.
I know, but this was.
Help me understand.
Okay, I'll help you understand. This is something that this council has been talking about for the whole term. And I know Jesse had been advocating for a short-term rental ordinance, as well as Deb. And this is something that we get a lot of questions about from the community. I get emails about it all the time, people that see me. Where are we with the short-term rental ordinance? It's something that the community's wanted, and it's something that I think we should try to do in this term. That's the difference.
So I agree that we have to do some regulation. I just, again, want to get it right and want to be thoughtful and make sure all stakeholders are involved in the process. So I'm absolutely 100% in support of a workshop. But again, we've been talking all night about the council turning over. So we're going to have a workshop, and then in 2 weeks, there'll be, a few weeks, there'll be an election. So wouldn't it make sense to have a workshop with the sitting council that could do something? I mean, at this point, I don't know. I'm just being.
We can still do something as a council. That's kind of what we've been talking about for 2 years. And we've been waiting on a short-term rental ordinance to come forward for us, for the community to review. So it is a workshop. It's going to be public. And I think there's a lot of individuals from the community that will come out and, at least have their say in what they feel should be in the short-term rental ordinance.
I'm interested in a workshop for sure. I just don't know if this council, I mean, I'm happy to do a workshop, but again, I'm just talking about the date because we just went through this whole thing with the beach workshop that we've done for 10 years. So I just want to get it right, and I'd like to hear from Deb. I don't know what kind of work. I know there's a subcommittee, could get us up to speed a little bit about where we are we ready, and, when.
We're not ready today, but our objective is to try and get to the place where we are ready for the workshop. I mean, I can't guarantee that the workshop is going to be the thing that gets us over the, over the hump so that we can actually do a vote before this, before the vote. I'm not sure that it is or it isn't, but, I think it would be a good idea to have a conversation with our constituents about what it is that we're looking to do and get their ideas and thoughts as well. So that's.
Is September 20th is a Tuesday, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
can't do that, but you guys can.
You can't do it
Yeah, I
Tuesday.
can't. I'm going to be in Boston for my son's birthday, but, I mean, could you change it to later in September?
So what?
Another week or two out?
I'm away the 27th, and I know Deb had
I'm going to
conflicts
be
as well.
away from
How
the
about, like,
22nd to the
like,
27th.
Because I definitely care and want to be there.
Well, I think you should be there.
Yeah, so can we look at another date then, Ever and Deb? So the whole council could be there?
I mean, I'm not going to, I'm away till the 27th.
Janet, do you have
You're
any
away
dates
till
that,
The 27th.
So could we do something like the 29th?
I'm away from the 27th to October 3rd. I'd like to be here.
Till when?
September 27th to October 3rd. I'll be back on October 3rd.
I can't say
October
it
what?
again?
September 27th to October 3rd, I will be away.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
So
we want
we're,
to do the 4th, October 4th, since you're away, I'm away, and then she's away? I mean, it's just a beginning discussion for short-term rentals. Well, we appreciate that, but we'd like to have a full council with a very important topic.
yeah, I think that's important. I really do.
Yeah, yeah. Could we do that, Eva, October 4th?
Yeah, we can do that. Does that work, Janet? Do you have anything on that day?
From what I can see, September 26th.
I won't be here.
Deb won't be here.
Deb won't be here,
No.
okay.
That's why we went to the
So
October
October
4th.
what?
4th to
Yeah.
Tuesday,
It's a Tuesday.
it's the following week.
Dan, the League of Women Voters,
Oh, we're
they
not doing it
canceled.
again.
Oh, they did?
Yes,
We
No
did.
debates, no debates, everybody gets a free pass.
October
So the
4th is
4th?
available.
So, can you,
I can do the 4th.
all right, does that sound better, or do you have?
Eva, is that okay with you?
October 4th?
What time do you want to do it?
We can, 5 p.m.
Would you rather do it at
thinking dinner
6? Because people will be just getting home from work, including you sometimes.
What's
I said people will just be getting home from work, including you sometimes.
Yeah.
You want to
no,
do
I
6?
usually-
You want to change it to 6?
We can do later, it's fine.
Yeah.
I usually work in Westerly that day, so I was trying to do sooner in case it went long, but
Yeah.
if 6 o'clock works better.
For the residents.
Okay, so why don't we do, so is that okay, October 4th at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, that's good for me. Does that work for you, Jesse? I know you're.
Yeah, I think so. I have many children's sports these days, but I think that's fine.
Okay. And that works for you, Mike? Because you'll be helping us with this.
All right, so we don't have to amend because it's not in the motion, but it would be set for October 4th at 6 o'clock. Does that sound right to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion outside of the date? Okay, we'll go to the public. Stanley?
Chelsea, 1044 Boston Neck Road. Here we have government trying to figure out how to run short-term rentals. Have any of you spent some significant time on short-term rentals? And now you're going to make a law on short-term rentals. And again, I'm sure you're going to take away some property rights involved in people in homes that are renting. And you know, it's, you want to address the noise problem. It's the noise and drunk problem. So instead of fixing the noise and drunk problem, which you are responsible for, you have laws for those. Instead of you doing your job in fixing the drunk and noise problem, you go out there and attack the property owner. Let's nail the property owner, or we'll take away some of his rights. Short-term property, short-term rentals. It's not a matter of short-term, long-term, and any kind of rental. People are noisy, especially when they're drunk. We've only been renting for about 50-some years here in Narragansett. I want to tell you, I have never gone to one of my rentals and had a noise unless they were drunk. So that proves to me that's the problem. I haven't had a sober person behave negatively where you need to call a cop. So it's not a law of short-term rentals we need. We need the enforcement of the noise and drunk and disorderly or whatever. And the problem is your fines are not high enough. Your fines are not high enough. So they're not working. So you're not working appropriately. Your fines are not high enough. You need to get cost recovery. The police, I want the police, 25% of the police budget should be assessed to all the lawbreakers. Cost recovery. I don't want to pay for the drunks, enforcement on the drunks. So you get the money from the drunks and from the noisy people. You get that money to enforce the law. Enforce the laws, not make new laws which takes away my property rights. I don't know how to put it, but I know it sounds so good. Oh, we'll have short-term, you're looking for, so you are successful because you're looking for some way to stop the noise, stop the drunk, stop the noise, looking for some way to do it, and you're going to take away property rights instead of getting law. Just enforce the laws you have. Do your job.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay. All right, so we have October 4th at 6 p.m. Just want to thank Deb and Eva for continuing to work on this on behalf of the council. And I do wish I think we all wish we were further ahead on it. It would be nice if we had started earlier, because we have been working on so many different things over this term in regards to housing. This was like the kind of the last piece that we're trying to get to. So anyway, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Okay, last item is a motion to cancel the town council meeting scheduled for Monday, November 7th at, 2022.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so I put this on. I don't have a very strong feeling, but I thought it made sense to at least discuss it. So the election is the next day, Tuesday. So I figured everyone will be out campaigning. I won't be, but some other people will. And also, do we want to have a meeting making decisions the day before the election?
You'll be holding a sign for me, right?
Anyway, so it's up to you guys if you want to have that meeting or not. We could have a very short meeting with just some basic stuff, or we could just not have the meeting. But it's the Monday before the election on Tuesday morning. And I think it's been canceled it's been canceled in the past for this reason. But again, open to the council.
I don't have any strong feelings either. I like to keep working. I don't like to cancel, but I don't know the burden on the town, the elections, but I'm indifferent. I mean, I'll come if we have a meeting,
I'm good with it, cancel.
and I'm not holding Patrick's sign.
All right, so
still
Susan's fine
vote.
either way.
It doesn't
taking
matter
that
to
away.
me.
Eva, Deb, what do you guys think?
I was fine having the meeting. I don't know how it affects the town staff. If it doesn't matter to me, I can go either way. If it helps the town staff because of the election the next day, then I'm happy to not have it. But I don't mind being here. It'll be the last meeting. We're all here together.
So if nobody really cares, I could just pull it. I just figure I'd put it on because I don't know if anyone had thought about it, beforehand. So I could pull it or we can vote.
Sometimes when we don't have a meeting, we get backed up. I know
Yeah.
that in the past, we've skipped a meeting and then the next agenda is like
deluge.
double trouble. Janet, what's your feeling on that? Because we've had that happen this term and it's been pretty painful to catch up on that.
Yeah. So I double-checked with Finance Department. The problem with the July 5th is that it's the first meeting of the
Right.
fiscal year, and it's not the same situation now, so it's entirely your call.
So the only thing that comes to mind for me is if we don't have the November 7th and we go to November 21st, it's going to be seating a new council, and I sort of agree that it doesn't hurt to go through some basic stuff.
Just do a light
Yeah,
agenda?
just make it as light as possible, but.
Okay, that's fine.
But just do that. I'm okay with that.
Sure, I'll pull it, yep.
All right, he's going to pull it and we're going to have a meeting.
All right.
I offered,
Is
don't
everybody- is
blame me
everybody-
later.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I would.
All right, I'm just going to pull this one then. Okay?
We can do small business.
We could try and make it as light as possible, because,
Yeah, I think that's
Okay, so
Four of
that's
us will be
pulled.
busy.
So we do have an executive session after this.
Yeah.
So do we have a motion to retire to executive session of the town council in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 42464 and 42465A for the following purpose: litigation in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 42465A2, Narragansett 2100 versus Town of Narragansett et al., WC 2021-0448, and Riley et al. Versus Narragansett SU 2022-0272A.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Roll call, do we do a roll call vote? Roll call, right? So we'll start with Susan,
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jastrensky, aye.
Deb,
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved, 5-0. We'll be back to adjourn after the executive. Good night, everyone. Okay, great. All right, do we have a motion to seal the minutes from executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thank you, Dan. Have a good night, everyone.